Okay, getting ready to make a new staircase for Saddled Up. Trying to make one that's a little less steep. Hopefully people can get in and out of the boat easier, and hopefully airmen can get in and out. So what I've got here is a maple piece of plywood, 3/4 inch. That's going to be the frame, and then I'll finish it off with some hardwood. Hopefully maple. If not, maybe I'll do some accents with maybe some oak or something, and when it stains, it'll be a little bit different. Anyway, gonna try and cut this up, and hopefully I don't make too many mistakes while I'm doing this. So here we go. And there we go. First cut has been made. We'll take the tape off. Hopefully it doesn't splinter too bad. I actually have the sheet laying on top of another 1/2 inch sheet of just plain old pine plywood. One that gives me a little more, it's a little bit more sturdy, and two, I can cut down through the depth through the plywood, don't have to worry about it too much. Hopefully I can use the pine for building some of the drawers or something later that are going to go into this. As you can see, I'm using my smaller cordless circular saw. I've actually misplaced one of the batteries, so this could hold me up if the battery runs dead and I have to charge it. But it's a lot easier to handle and use than my big old, you can't quite see it, maybe you can, the Milwaukee Worm Drive circular saw. So, since this is more of a detailed work, I'm just trying to do things a little bit slower, sawing slow, so that hopefully I don't tear up the laminate on this plywood. So anyway, I'm going to keep working on it. I'll try and do videos here and there as I'm doing it, maybe some pictures and stuff, but I'm going to take my time, make sure I do it right. No, there's no hurry on this, so I'm not going to be driving down to the boat probably for another month or so, so I've got a little time to get it done. Well, looks like I get to make some adjustments. Something didn't come out quite right. I am not sure if this piece of aluminum bowed or if I didn't have the bracket tight. But as you can see, I started out not quite on my line, so I've got to adjust, I guess, what I've got there, which I thought I had that right with the test cut. But as it goes on, you can see that it kept moving towards the left, and I came off over 1/4 inch off down here, so I'm not sure what totally happened. I'll have to try and correct that. The good news is, at least I didn't cut on the wrong, it didn't make the wrong cut on the wrong side of the line, so where it moved to the left on that is actually good, because I won't be using that, so I have a little bit of a variance there. So anyway, I'm gonna try and get this corrected, and hopefully I can get it cut right. Let's see, bad news. Battery ran dead on the second cut through. Batteries don't last very long in that thing, especially drawing so many amps when cutting thicker wood, 3/4 inch plywood. Good news, I found the other battery. Bad news, doesn't seem like it has much of a charge. However, I was able to figure out a way to hold my guide in place a little better. Put some quick self-tapping screws in, held it pretty much on line. You can see it's a little bit off my marked line, but I honestly believe that it is more accurate than the marked line, because that marked line, is a little bit off when you're trying to draw it. I might have moved the guide when I was drawing that line, because I do believe that according to my specs, this line here should be just slightly over 5 inches. And the lines drawn, that came out to 5 inches. This came out to closer, what I think it should be, of about 5 1/8. So I think my new cut is actually on line where it should be. So I've got it cut, the first cut. I'm going to move on and start making the rest of the cuts. As you can see, it'll be a lot easier when I'm done here. It's going to come up, angles off, comes up there. So this is going to be one side of the stairs. When I get this one done, if it looks good, I'm just going to flip it around on the other end, down there, and trace it and cut it, and hopefully they're both almost identical. I may have to do a little bit of sanding here and there, trimming, whatever it's going to take. But sides are the main thing. Once I get the sides cut out, because I really can't do that on the table saw too easily, too many different angles. Once I get these sides cut out, then I can take the pieces that I have, the remnants left over, and cut out my stairs and shelf, or not shelf, I'm going to put drawers on these things, my drawer fronts. And then the drawers will just be made out of a cheaper pine or boards, I'm not sure yet. But anyway, made a little bit of progress. I think it's kind of starting to come out like I wanted it to, even though I had a little bit of an error, a mistake to start with. So, all right, I'm going to keep working on it. And my second cut, much better. Shorter, and I do believe now my first line, it wasn't drawn properly. Might have a little bit of bow to it or something. But as you can see there, this thing cut pretty close to what my line was drawn. So I'm happy with that. That was a little bit fast, sorry. So working much better. I'm gonna keep cutting. Well, getting all reckless like I usually do. But I'm finding that I think I can cut just as straight. I got a pretty steady hand, and I can cut just as straight following that line, watching the blade, than putting that guide down. I'll put the guide down for the long cuts on the other board again, but on these ones that are pretty straight, well, they're all straight cuts, but nice easy cut here. I can do this. And I also found out the tape is not really helping. I'm not doing totally cross cut of the grain, so this really isn't chipping. On those ones that are cross cut, I'll still put it on, but I'm going with the grain here, no issues. And just taking my time, make it straight, and I'm about got this first one cut out. All right, now I've just got a messy garage here. I've just got to cut that little edge out there. I could not cut past it. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to cut that. The flat edge fits up against there pretty straight. Got off the line a little bit, less than a 16th, but key to cutting when you're doing that is to not try to adjust it when you go off the line real quick. You just kind of keep going and try to adjust it back slowly, and by the time you trim this out, it'll look good. There it is, first side cut out.
The second side was cut out and a temporary back put in place to see how it would look.
Okay, well, I forgot to take some of the videos, but what I've got here is I got both side panels cut out. I've got one laying here right now. As you can see, I've got the all of the treads marked out, so that I can begin to router them out for the stairs to go in. And here is a jig I made, just kind of a temporary jig. Not the most glamorous, but it gets the job done, so that I can then use my router with my collar bit and router it out. I did some tests first to make sure that everything was going to work the way it should, and it does. So right now I'm going to start on my first stair, and I've cut 4 treads. Try and lay that down. 9-inch tread by 19 1/8. So when I get this all assembled, it should be the same width as the current stairs on the boat. Got the other treads over there. I'll admit I'm not maybe taking the full amount of time I should, but pretty comfortable with the way everything's going. So first I'm going to get these all cut and fit. Nothing's going to be drilled or screwed together until I know that everything's going to fit. I'm going to have to take this in pieces down to the boat because it'd be too hard to carry on. So that's why I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'm just going to get the pieces cut kind of like a puzzle, put it together when it's down there, stain it so I can make it match better, and then varnish it after it's all together in place. So, well, actually varnish it and then put it in place. But I'll try and give you updates as we go. So this tread will go in here. And so the way I've built this jig, tread goes in. The way I've built the jig is that I've got one side clamped down on the line. And then I will bring this in and clamp the other side down with this clamp. Clamp it down to tighten it up. and that allows me to router out what I need to router out for the tread. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't have my GoPro, so I'll just do this and show you the results. So I've got it clamped down, making sure everything looks like it's going to fit the way it should. I've left a piece of plywood in there to help keep the space the way it should. And I know out here it looks like it's off, but actually inside it is actually touching. Let me see if I can show you. Kind of hard to see there, but it's down on the wood, so we should have the proper depth. Gonna go ahead and route it out and see what we get. Well, here we are in a somewhat mocked up stage to see how it's going to work. I actually have 4 treads cut out, one temporary, one there where the bracket is, just a short piece of wood, and kind of just a couple of braces to hold it together to test it out. It does seem like it's pretty good. I think it's going to help a lot. My main concern is going to be the height of our head with the cockpit cabin, or not the cockpit, the saloon ceiling coming in, the deck actually is what you call it. But have to see how much headroom we have. I'll do some measurements before I go down in a week, trying to see how it's going to work before I finish it too much. But just need to cut some stairs. Had a couple of mishaps, wasn't paying attention. The router bit started coming out, was loosening up, so I've got a couple of the dado joints have been routed out a little bit more than they need to be. Trying to decide if I'm going to try and backfill them and reroute them, or if I'm just going to go ahead and cut the 2 stairs a little bit longer and go ahead and put them in that way, which might be just the easiest way to do, make it sturdier. But everything's coming together, fitting nicely so far. Like I said, just kind of in a mock-up stage, but we're getting there. All right, here we are. Back to more temporary assembly. What I have done is fixed some of the mistakes that were caused when my router bit started coming loose and plunged too deep. As you can see here, I've cut out some little extra trim to put in. I've glued that in, let it set up, rerouted it. Checked all my other routing dado joints, made sure they're going to work. Got all my stair treads cut, except I've left 2 of them temporarily not cut just to make sure. I've got 3 sitting over there, 1 here, 2 sitting over there ready to go. And those 2 have not been trimmed down to the final stages. I'm going to wait and see if I need to have some a little longer, a little shorter, but I figured I'd wait and see how it was. So time to start assembling what I have here temporarily, and we'll see how things work out. Then on to the trim stage if this works out.
I used pocket holes to secure the steps from underneath.
There we go. I've got the frame, if you want to call it that, done. All the stairs have been screwed in at this point, nothing glued. I got a little bit of touching up here and there to do, but a lot of that's going to be trim work. So the next step will be to start trimming out the edges. I'm not sure what wood I'm going to use. I might use oak or mahogany, something to give a little differentiating color when I stain it. Under here, under each step, I'm probably going to put a cross beam, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, plywood piece cut out to give a little more strength. The top couple of stairs, you'll notice them. Try and trim them out nice. Or maybe just use hardwood to do that on the top couple of stairs. That's probably a better idea. But then on the bottom 3 openings, that will be shelving put in there, so be able to make that look a little bit better. Anyway, they're coming along, probably faster than I should. I'm trying to get things done quickly, but it seems to be working out. Starting to do some of the trim out. Going to trim it out with oak. Hopefully give a little bit of contrast from the maple. Depends on what kind of stain I use. But also it's the hardwoods readily available. Didn't want to order any, didn't want to have to go shopping special around. This should work fine if I stain it properly. Anyway, I'm going to create some handles up in here. Oh, can't see up in here. And probably one down here. And then I'm going to trim this down the rest of the way. So what I'm working on now, I've kind of got that just rough, well, not roughed in. It's somewhat close there. It's about the curvature I want. So we'll keep working on that. Should have my drawer glides here later today that hopefully I can start building drawers to fit in these bottom 3 sections there. So I will keep working away, keep making progress. There's the first handle. kind of roughed in. I need to sand it down, but I just kind of want to see how it works. Looks like you should be able to get, I got a pretty good sized hand, not overly huge, but if I can get my hand in there, most people are going to be able to. So I think that looks pretty good. I'll probably try and put another one down here for anybody that's a little bit shorter, and then the kids to help hold on. And then I'll get one there, trim down the edge. And once I get this side done, copy it for the other side. Well, there we go. I've got now kind of not a rough cut, but cut out. Just haven't sanded what I need to. But I think I like that. I'm going to be able to attach a few screws at the bottom. I cut it down, trimmed it down to 1 inch. Doesn't make it seem so overbearing now. That's what it did before. I'll put up the other side here in a second. And then I think I can actually insert a screw in here to help hold that down while the glue dries. I'm using a finish screw, so you really can't see it. I could probably put some finish nails in there too, but being as that's going to be a place people are going to grab, I think I want to secure it with more than just the glue, so a couple of screws. Let me get the other side up and I'll show you how I think it looks better. Alright, so as you can see, the other side obviously still needs to be cut, but just looking at, it sticks out 2.5 inches there higher. And I think that really just kind of starts to box things in on the stairs if you look at it. Whereas if you come over and look at this side, it really seems to bring it down. Gives a little bit of curve, just makes it seem a little bit more like it was built for the boat when I get it in, hopefully. So I think I like the idea that I've done that. Thought about trying to cut this down in here, but I mean I could, but I don't think that's going to help all that much. And I kind of like the way I have it right now. Okay, one side is routed out, glued on. Of course I got to do the final sanding after it dries. Clamped on up top there, a few screws here and there. This side I've got the glue on. A little slower maybe. You can see I've got each step marked, so as I take it apart to transport it, I've got them marked on the tape, got them marked on the front. This way I know which step goes where. Got this piece over here ready to go on. Gonna glue it on, screw it, well it's glued. Screw it down, clamp it down, and let it dry overnight, and then I'll pick things up tomorrow. Okay, checking back the next morning, everything seemed to glue up nice and dry nice, so I've got the clamps off. As you can see, we've got I should have videoed before I had the clamps off, but I got the clamps off. You can see I've got handles here that I built in, so you can grab on the way up. Put some down low for anybody a little bit challenged in height, and also the kids. I'm not going to do any final sanding, so I still got some things there. I did use some finished screws that I'll cover in, but I wanted this to make sure it was good and solid on there, so between glue and the screws it should be pretty sturdy. I'm on to my next step. I'm cutting and routering the 1-inch treads that will go on, so rough cutting them right now. Not doing a very good job of showing you. I shouldn't say rough cutting. I'm cutting them longer than they need to be so that I can trim them off individually each step by step. But I'm routering them down. I'm choosing the best side forward so I have the least amount of sanding. Got the I should probably have cut the other one. I was able to cut 5 out of a 6 1x6. Rip them down, but I've got 2 of them here that I'm going to finish. I'm sanding up on end, like I said, the finish side out. Least amount of sanding I'll have to do to cover the marks up. But then I'm going to router each down, so I've got it facing forward, so I only have to clamp them down a couple of times. I got to move the clamp, but I can router both edges as I go here. So I will continue to router and keep working on it. All right, so can't remember if I think I did show that I had the trim on the front of the stair tread. So now I'm moving on to trying building one of our first drawers. And so working on the bottom drawer here, I've gotten my sides on 3 sides using oak at the bottom, poplar on the side. It's a drawer, it's not going to be seen. Sides don't need to be supporting too much weight. So Gluing and just quick nailing these together. This is the big one, will be on the bottom. Got my last one I want to put on here, so I'm going to nail it on with some brads, let it dry, and then we'll see how things fit together. All right, here we are. We are getting much closer. Once again, final routering on some of the areas and sanding. Sanding's definitely not done. But as you can see, we've got our handle trim pieces on the outer edges. We've finally got, I don't know if I had the front edging pieces on there before, I think I did. But we finally got drawers. I'll have Holly show how the drawers work. We've got to put front faces on the drawers yet. But we've got 10-inch drawer, 14-inch, and big 20-inch drawer. So go ahead and pull them all out at the same time. Kind of shows how much space we have. So now we'll have stairs that are more functional, but also we're not wasting that space. We've got extra storage for things that we're going to need that are close and handy for outside, like koozies, sunglasses, suntan, yeah, lotion, screen, bug spray, whatever.
Maybe.
All on self-closing glides, or latching glides, I should say, so they don't just pop open too easy once they're latched. So we'll see how that works. If I might have to put latches on them, but we'll find out as we cruise. All right, until the final steps. And so now I'm down to just getting the drawer faces on, the fronts on the drawers. Everything's varnished up. The stairs are actually installed. I do have to install brackets up there in the corner. You can see I've kind of got those polished up today as best I can. They are very old, so not going to be very clean, but they're clean as they can be. So my last step before I put the drawer face fronts on is to reattach the pull rings. You can see I've got them here. So I'm in the process of doing that, and actually going to do it by hand. These little screws, you don't want to strip them out, so kind of nice to do it that way. Anyway, I'm going to get these put on and get the drawers put on, or fronts put on, and then I'll show you the finished product. And here is the final product. Drawer fronts are on. As you can see, it's installed. Excuse some of the residual mess from installation and still working on the other parts of the boat. But we have fully functioning stairs. Stain came out pretty good that Holly did. Example of one of the drawers. Pull it open, keep our koozies there. We'll figure out what we're going to do with the rest of the drawers. But new stairs are in. One minor major project is done.